Hello, BookTube. I thought we'd do a little mail. Just a few packages here, just to keep our hand in. We'll see what we have. See if it's anything squeal-worthy. I'm not getting any squeal-worthy impressions of this. My spidey sense is not tingling at all. These are probably just, to put it in horrible terms, ordinary books. Let's give a look. Let's see. Ordinary books can still be wonderful, of course. They can still be something you... It's wrapped in cardboard. Oh, okay. All right. This is another just unbound galley here. So there won't be any information on this at all. It's another one of these things. It's just someone prints off the pages that still have, their not for distribution watermark on them, and then just binds them at Kinko's. This is Craig Johnson. This is his new Longmire book, First Frost. I believe that's the first Longmire book that has a photo from the Netflix show on it. I'm pretty sure that's true. But this isn't going to tell me anything. This is a terrific series. Just fantastic. And the Netflix show is great as well. Start with the first episode. And then move on from there. It's amazingly good. But what are you going to... Oh, yeah, look at the Longmire series. Like 20 books long. You're not going to be able to tell me anything about this, though. No. No, all right. Well, this is, those of you who know this series, this is a what would you call it? It's a mystery series, but it's also action, testosterone dunked action. It's very, very good, about Walt Longmire, who is the main character and who is a terrific creation. They're all this author is really good at just tossing off well-rounded characters, even if they're never going to appear. If they're going to appear only once, a gas station attendant or a petty criminal that is come and then gone. But you really get the sense that they're on the page when they are. It's a very Elmore Leonard type thing. And this is just the latest adventure. I shouldn't say just, because it's hard to keep a series this good for this long. So I don't have anything to tell you about it, but including its date. But I'm glad to see it. So let's move on to this next one and hope that it has a little bit more material to it. Oh, okay, great. All right, yes, this is the finished copy. Oh, fantastic. All right, so this is a March release. Yes, you're a March release? Yes, mid-March. This is Marilynne Robinson, and this is her book, Reading Genesis, in a very shiny cover there. This is the finished copy of Reading Genesis, a work of nonfiction from our greatest living author. Let's see here. For generations, academic interpretations of Genesis have centered on the question of its basic coherency when treated as a collection of documents, just as fundamental interpretation has centered on the question of the appropriateness of reading it as literally true. It is not literally true. So, I understand what the pub sheet writer is trying to say, but as long as we can be clear on the subject, there's nothing in Genesis that is literally true. It's a collection of mythology. Okay? The world, the moon, the stars, the animals, nothing was created by magic. If you think it was, prove it to me. If you believe it was, fine. Go ahead and believe it. But if you're going to tell me that it was, prove it to me. Don't even talk about it. Just immediately start proving it to me. You can't, and that will end the discussion. So, if you believe it, that's fine. But it didn't happen. You're free to believe anything you want, but whales were not created by magic. Stars are not, plants did not exist before light, etc., etc. Plants eat light, they consume it. And so on, and of course, humans were not created. Which is the whole point of the story and the reason why so many fundamentalist weirdos in America believed it to be literally true. Humans were not created. Humans evolved from a common ancestor with the other great apes. If that fact makes you uncomfortable, it's really, as the kids say, a you problem. But anyway, this book steps in where both of these approaches fall far short. Okay, all right. Well, it's nice that Marilynne Robinson is riding to the rescue, but this is not a both sides debate. Genesis is just Near Eastern mythology. We have many, many examples of ancient Near Eastern mythology. It's just mythology. There is no grappling with it along the lines of whether or not it's literally true. It is not literally true. There was never a tower that reached to heaven. There was never a time when there were only 2 humans on Earth. There was never a time when Noah's flood happened. That did not happen. So it's not really. It's comfortable to phrase it as 2 halves of a story, but it's not. It's not 2 halves of a story. We might as well be talking about, I don't know, the great interpretive debate over Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck. Right, with some people, a faction, it's true, they're all for. But all those 4-year-olds at Disneyland are saying that they are definitely real. And so that's a faction. We'll treat that on an equal siding with people who say, no, these are drug addicts in costumes. No, there's no... Anyway, let's see here. In appreciating the text as literature and in grasping its greatness as a work of theology that must reconcile the darkest aspects of human experience with the goodness of God and of being itself. Okay, but God doesn't show any goodness in Genesis. Not at any point. He's never good to anyone in Genesis. He's vengeful and petty, and irrationally so, at every point where he stepped on stage in Genesis. And contradictory, of course. Contradicts himself nonstop. That's why people keep talking about this mythology. But I don't know why being is capitalized here. Okay? If you write the goodness of God and of being itself, and being is capitalized, for most of the centuries that Christianity has ruled the world, that sentence would have got you burned alive. Screaming for an hour until finally your vocal cords burned. So I don't know what that's supposed to mean. Who is being? When did she make her appearance? Robinson's book, which includes the King James Version of Genesis, is a rich consideration of the profound meaning and promise of God's enduring covenant with humanity. Recognizing that in stories so economically told as these, no detail should be dismissed, the book glories in the subtle significance of a single word, while tracing the emergence of themes that resonate through the whole of Scripture. Perhaps most of all, this book radiates gratitude for creation and God's abiding faith in it, and for Genesis itself. A spectacular burst of light without antecedent, but with a universe of consequences. Okay, all right. I've been down this road before with a new translation of the Quran, but we will see. Marilynne Robinson has almost never let me down. Okay, so mid-March, we will see. If this book says, look at this literature and the incredible wealth of commentary that it has generated over the centuries, what can we learn from that commentary? What do we know about ourselves from this literature? How can we metamorphose this literature into a whole bunch of lessons for ourselves? Fine. It doesn't sound to me from that pub sheet like that's what this book is going to do, but it's just a pub sheet. It's not the book. If the book says all of that stuff, but also adds, oh, and by the way, it is all true, literally true, well, then the book loses me, and it should lose you too. The stars are not smaller than the moon. The moon does not give off any light. None of this stuff was created by magic. None of it was. Not any cosmological factor, and certainly not life on Earth. Cosmological factors we can extrapolate based on chemical traces in matter, and also by what we can observe happening elsewhere in the galaxy. But life on Earth, there is no doubt whatsoever. Life on Earth, we can read the blueprints. We can read the DNA. I don't know how far this will go. It's always a trick with writers, especially writers of a certain age. I've noticed Marilynne Robinson is not a young writer anymore. I'm not doing her any kind of scurrilous disservice to say so. And I've noticed that writers of a certain age get to a point where they want this stuff to be true. Not just true in a metaphorical, wobbly, capital T sense, but true literally. And they sometimes tend to write books like this. We shall see. I'm ashamed to admit that I have not read it yet. I have had the advanced copy for a while, and it's a major release, but I will get to it. Now that I have the finished copy, I will mark up the finished copy. Then we have a box that is bigger. So let's see what this thing is. Some sort of oversized thing. What have we got here? Oh my! Oh wow! Okay. I didn't think I was going to get this. Not a physical copy. Fantastic. Well, okay. Well, this gives me a chance to show you what I was talking about, which is great. We've seen this already on this channel. We talked about it. This is adapted by Charles Dickson and illustrated by David Wenzel, and this is The Hobbit, a graphic novel. A graphic novel of J.R.R. Tolkien's famous children's book. that has, it's heavy on the text because you're getting as much text as possible. And those of you who know your comic books will remember that the last popular graphic novel of The Hobbit was also heavy on the text. Tried to include pretty much all the text of the book. But this is the art style. Just so you know what to expect. Considerably better than the last Hobbit graphic novel. Considerably better. You're going to want to know what Gollum looks like. There we go. Okay, fantastic. Should we take a look at the dragon? Very nice. Very nice. Rich, burnt umber tones. Very, very nice. Okay, fantastic. Well, I didn't think I was going to get... This is great. All right, so that is our mail haul. No need to talk about The Hobbit. It's just a graphic novel of The Hobbit. What I wouldn't give to see a graphic novel of Lord of the Rings. That'd be awesome. Maybe if this one does well, the same team will come together. I'm sure that when you are a team and you are doing a graphic novel of The Hobbit, I'm sure that at some point you start to dream that maybe you could do one for Lord of the Rings. And as far as I know, that's never happened. I could be wrong about that. You Tolkien fanatics might know of some foreign example, but I don't remember that ever being true. And that would be awesome. But anyway, those are our books for today. Just 3 books. The new Longmire story, Marilynne Robinson reading the Book of Genesis, and a graphic novel of The Hobbit. So once again, I say the obvious, which is I love my job. So I'm going to wrap this up for now, but I'll be back. Thank you, BookTube.